on the last video.
Don't you do a thing?
The adventure continues.
Hello, everybody. So we're finally back to this, and it took way too long to set this up, but I finally have a setup in mind here, and we're going to go over it, and I'm going to read straight from my Google Doc that I had done for this. This was way more complicated than it needed to be. I'm well aware of that fact, but again, I do this shit to be fucking just randomly entertaining, and I like to be excessively thorough about things just for the fun of being excessively thorough. It's just, I don't know why it's as cathartic as it is to me, but it is. So, yeah, well, we did the thing. So, reading off of this Google Doc, starting off with Control Team, obviously, we have Georgia that is leading it. Mary and Cheese Whiz are going to be our tank and our melee and our range DPSs, sorry, and then Vincent is just random fodder on the end there. We have Fly Chan that is going to wind up holding down Information Team as their captain, with Fire and Courtney as a ranged DPS first, and then Courtney is a fucking tank and a half, so I decided to turn her into a carry by giving her a ton of fucking A-lift gear, because why wouldn't I? Training team has Kana, which is just going to be nicknamed Fairy Tale from here on in. Lisa is our ranged DPS on that team, and then Noah will eventually be our ranged DPS, using the Screaming Wedge to be able to overpenetrate shit. And then we have Security Team, with Heather Darling being our captain there. Melee DPS is Loki, and then we have Chloe that's going to be our fucking ranged DPS as well, with another Screaming Wedge. Now, Loki actually is armed with Moonlight to be able to produce shields, so gonna be a little bit of a special tank slash, like, you know, support specialist thing there. Anyway, onward down to Briya. I gotta click back into the window here. And I have this folder, this file open so that you guys can see. I'll go ahead and link it in the description below. We also have, of course, me and Chelsea being the, you know, it's more fitting than anything for me and Chelsea to be captains of Control Team. You know what I mean? We have the most flexibility to go wherever the fuck that we need to go, and we're siblings. You know, this was a joint effort from the beginning, so it might as well be that way. Obviously, Stargazer is going to be my ranged DPS behind me, who I'm actually a tank and also set up to be a worker character, rather than a DPS. Then we also have Tasha, which at the moment is a fodder, but going to wind up being a ranged DPS for sure. And then in Chelsea's team, she of course has Koto, which is their carry and their melee this time. I swapped his weapon out to be able to be... Actually, why does it say melee on that if he's using Sound of a Star? Shouldn't say melee. Shouldn't say melee at all. He should be ranged, so that's just stupid. Let me change that really quickly. There are obviously errors in here that need to be looked over, but it doesn't really matter. They're mostly fucking complete anyway. Brooke is going to be the actual tank on that team, by the way, also using a Moonlight, which is just like a weird, interesting tank combo I wanted to do. I know traditional tanking doesn't work in this game, but I like to know and set up one person with a melee weapon that's the first one to run up to the mob, so that they're the ones that get hit, and then they just rotate with other people as needed. Because again, tanking doesn't necessarily work in this game, but I like to have one person to jump in front of everybody else with weaker enemies. And then, of course, Isabel is just our... I called it a specialist, but she's fodder at the moment. She needs to be worked on. In Disciplinary Team, we have Ricky, of course, who's going to be the captain. We have Coolx, who is our melee DPS, Jake, our ranged DPS, and then Victor. So, Coolx, you now have a nickname. Your nickname is Fanfiction because of the fact that you have written things for this game that are not actual content in the game, but you know what? It's going to be content at some point. I believe in you. It'll be a mod someday, I am sure. And of course, Jake is just, you know, Jake from State Farm / Holly. We have other nicknames in here that I completely skipped by, I just realized. Stargazer from here on in is going to be known as Chicken Grease to obviously quote his fucking quote of all quotes. Chelsea is just straight up the cold inevitability of death, because that's exactly what her character is, using the fucking Twilight gear and having 120 plus stats on everything. And also we're gonna name Kodo Stovetop Coffee, because he makes a lot of stovetop coffee because he's Puerto Rican like that. Beyond that, though, also Victor is going to be known as the conductor, because he's going to be the actual person running up to the train, since we don't need to do that with the Absolute Unit anymore. Also, over to Welfare Team, we have Shipster's Pie that is actually going to lead that, because he looks exactly like Chesed. Hilariously, his nickname is going to be Not Chesed. And then, of course, we have Izzy, that is going to be our carry tank melee DPS there, which, not really much of a DPS, but really just more of an upfront tank rather than anything, but obviously everybody's kind of a DPS in this game, and then Kitten is our ranged DPS, using a Hypocrisy for more red damage. Rogan is just our fodder there. So now the only thing left over is moving over to Atzilith team, who, at first, we have Buttercup leading the Extraction team. We're going to name Buttercup the toughest fighter. I really hope that you guys get that reference without me having to explain it to you. I think I did an edit on screen anyway for it. Juvan of Destruct is going to wind up being our tank, our carry, and our DPS in that team because he's just fucking loaded with A-Lift gear and just smacks the shit out of everything. And I like how Dark Nebular Star was our ranged DPS, so I decided to keep that and then just up the ante and use the Hornet rather than the Letitia weapon. And Tim's just fodder. We have one fodder in every single department at the current moment. Not all of these people need to be worked on. And then, of course, finally, we have in Record Team... Well, not finally. Yeah, actually, finally, because there is no Architecture Team right now. We'll move over to why that is in a moment, but... Record Team is going to be XEI leading it as our captain, just simply known as X. We have Reno with the nickname 911 as our carry tank melee, and Hambone, Ian, my buddy, my best buddy, as our ranged DPS of that team, with Daphne being our fodder. Now, obviously, Architecture Team is not a thing that we can do at the current moment, but I already have our lineup for it. Nui, the Absolute Unit, is going to lead the Architecture Team, because I can trust her to lead the Architecture Team. That is my cat smacking at the door with the belts and all that other stuff. Also, Grim! So let's go ahead and click over to something. There was a person who left a comment before, the Grim Rapper, who is going to wind up being our fucking front leading man in the Architecture Team. Not literally our captain, but you are going to be leading the front line as our melee DPS supporter. You're going to be using a version of the Da Capo, and you're going to be using Smile. So you're going to be a carry when you eventually hit your maximum potential, if you will, as literally the Grim fucking Reaper. I thought that that would be amazing to do, so we're going to focus on doing that. Eric is our melee DPS for the Architecture Team as well. I don't know where the fuck he is at the current moment. I need to click into the window to figure that out, but again, he's our melee DPS. We have no range downstairs aside from Nere. We actually are going to be doing a bit of a rebirthing of Nere, because that's just the name that popped up when I was making some new characters, because I realized I was 4 characters shy of being able to get the full 40 that I needed. And we also have an extra character in here called Rose, and I don't really know what we're going to do with Rose, because, again, that's our 41st character. I might just completely omit her. But anyway, that's what we're going to be working with here. Nere is a bit of a rebirth. If you guys remember with the first season of this, the first time that we went through the original 46 or 47 days in Lobotomy Corporation, Nere was the only accepted death that we had. Aside from everybody, that was a necessary sacrifice for Gabora's suppression, which was the cabin in the wood strategy, going back to some more fucking delicious references to that first season. But yes, Nere is back and better than ever, and blue-haired and adorable, and wearing the fucking Phoenix jacket because, yes, she is fucking reborn. And we're going to wind up getting everybody in training team here just worked on before anybody else, and then swap a couple of characters around, which is the plan. Elise is going to be moving over to training team as their range DPS as well. So, again, this isn't the final setup of where everything is. Nui is in the middle, that's right. And then Eric is in welfare team for defense to be an even bigger tank than he already is. He's not technically a tank, but he's kind of a tank. Really fucking tanky. Very shitty with fucking hail damage, but whatever. So let's go ahead and continue before I completely lose my train of thought and continue talking about this any further, because we don't need to. So as I said, Victor is going to be our new conductor of the poop train. So you can just go ahead and get right on that. Ricky is our carry on the top floor, and everybody else will just sit down there. Alrighty, so Grim's going to be wearing the Smile, which only requires Temperance 5 and then level 5, so you're going to immediately open up working with Star Baby today. That's how we're going to start this day. you need damage because you're going to be doing damage stuff. So you're going to go in here and work with Schadenfreude. Con is fine. Con is perfectly fine as is. A little bit of prudence would be fine, but Con is not necessarily needed to be worked with. And I think Dia is going to be our tank for this team, if I recall correctly, so Dia is going to actually work with the Dreaming Current. So let me start that one going right now. Dia, the Dreaming Current. Nere with Schadenfreude. You are in there for attachment work. And then you have Screaming Wedge, so you're going to be a ranged DPS. So we're going to actually work on your fucking health. And that is 4 works. You also need a little bit of, yeah, we're going to work with the Snow Queen with you because we can. And we're going to have Ricky actually work with the train ride to hell for now. While that is going on. As far as I'm concerned, as I was mentioning a while ago with this game, I find that the best thing to do, at least for me, it may not necessarily work for everybody depending on how your brain works, but for me personally, just streamlining the process to be able to just get through the day is probably the best thing that you can do for yourself. It really is. Just not having to think as you send people out necessarily is good, or not at least dedicate as much of a mental faculty on doing such. Because then you can just do whatever the fuck that you need to be able to just make it through the goddamn day. Like, you don't have to worry about why, if you don't send them in to do this particular work or this particular person, you forget what person they are or whatever to do this thing, you're gonna get them fucking killed, so. It's just nicer that way, you know what I mean? Also, don't mind me, as my brain is a little bit fucking flubby and dying on the inside right now because I've spent way too much fucking time on spreadsheets for the fucking game rather than playing the fucking game. So, my apologies. My brain is not where it should be right now. Nere, I'll send you in there, but I don't like it. And I'll send you in here, and then just pause. Yeah, you got that, Cheese. Yeah, their nicknames are all listed on that sheet that I have up there, by the way. Very highly recommend that you guys just, if you're interested in the spreadsheet, that is. I think it's fair to say that a vast majority of people honestly do not give a fucking rat's ass about that, and that's fine. Again, I spent way too much of my time on it when I shouldn't have. But it was fun. It was genuinely fun to do. And apparently Nui the Absolute Unit is actually going to be taking all of that information and using it anyway, which makes me the big happy. So I'm just gonna send everybody in here, in there. Actually, no, I'm just gonna send our 2 carries in there. And there we go. Easy as pie, right? Easy as Shibster's pie. If you get what I'm saying, huh? Huh? I'm just kidding, I love you, Shib. Also, note that Heather is like the excruciatingly rare fucking ranged tank. I know that sounds completely asinine and arbitrary compared to what I've been saying that I set people up as a tank for, because the idea is to send them in front of everybody else with a melee weapon, to not have to, like, micromanage where everybody's going and mitigate damage, but, like, you remember that just, this is all, really, honestly, the whole systematic setup of it anyway is kind of arbitrary and pointless, but it's just for funsies. And as far as I'm concerned anyway, like, in forms of, like, RPGs and stuff, remember that there are always, like, off tanks, like, Traditional tanking just flat out is just not going to work in this game just because of the way the game works. Like, nobody can just stand in front of a monster, especially late game. Anything that is a VOV or above, there's a 99.9% chance that anybody, even the most stacked out employee that you have, you can't just send in front of the mob and just have everybody wail on it and it'll die before you lose that employee that's in the front line. Like, you can do it, I'm sure, especially with certain specific weapons. I had a lisp on that when I didn't intend to put a lisp. I'm sure you can do that in some scenarios, but at least for me, that's just not recommended or fucking optimal in any way, shape, or form. And often, you're going to be doing what an off-tank does, which is you can tank, you hold the capability of being able to tank, but not long-term, so you swap. The off-tank essentially is like when you need to revive the tank and somebody runs in for them, if you couldn't assume from, like, the naming of it, essentially. And it's something that you do in Girls Frontline a lot, actually, hilariously. You have your off-tanking SMGs that you kind of just, like, throw in to alleviate the pressure from the main tanks if something just does too much damage. Again, this is all just usual RPG terminology, and by all technicality, it really just depends on how you can set people up for things in games. You don't necessarily need an off-tank. A lot of times, you don't even necessarily need a tank, but I fucking prefer one because I like actually having control over the situation and who's going where. Oh my Lanta. Please get to that in time, Ricky. We almost pooped the bed right there. And by we, I mean me. We have a lot of people in this department, and in this fucking whole entire run that could easily fucking just evaporate from that train. And this, situations like this, is why I like the melee ranged setup, because now we can literally just click and drag these two, send them into this hallway, black shield Eric. I might as well black shield Kit, too, in case they wind up walking out at the same time there. And now, she will wait at the doorway while Eric just runs in and punches them in the jejunum, and it'll be beautiful. Even though, he's not going to do damage to them, I don't think, because they take, like, a reduced, only half. That's still a good amount of damage, actually. I might send Izzy up or something, just for funsies. I don't have to, but I might. But this is why I like this setup. It's because you can do shit like this. I'm going to send you in there, and then I'm going to black shield you, and you're going to run in. Might as well black shield X as well, and send him in. And then we just have here. I could literally just have you three run in there and obliterate fucking everything. So we're gonna do that. They have Aleph armors. I don't need to fucking put shields on them. Why do you think I'm crazy, people? I'm not crazy, you're crazy. Oh, I am not using, yeah, that's a problem. Alright. How much damage does that fucking staff even do anymore? Because I think it's kind of shit. I'm gonna have to black shield myself again. I just realized that I'm not using the same weapon I thought I was, but that's fine. They should have that shit down pat. Like, they already... I'm not surprised. You have 2 Aleph carries on that team that was fucking murdering the same shit. And I wasn't paying attention to what Gold Rush does, but I know Gold Rush is actually pretty fucking strong. That was meant to be pronounced with a K, but I fucked it up. And where's the other grouping of them? I don't think there's any more of them now that I think about it. I think it's just these two. Yeah, you guys got that over there. Yeah. And this is actually going to be a short recording session today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just going to do this one singular day and then cut it off right here. Hence why I am making sure that I am talking plenty with actual fucking commentary this time. I actually feel like I am contributing more than I usually do when it comes to chit-chat, rather than just saying stupid things about what I need to do throughout the day, so... there's that. Not that I'm saying that my fucking commentary is great, necessarily, but I feel like it's better than usual, at the bare minimum. You are more than welcome to think what you want to think. That is fine. I'm gonna make you visit the whale again. We're gonna make sure that you are so fucking swollen, Array. You're not gonna be able to even see the enemies through your goddamn muscles. You're not gonna be able to reach your fucking face. It'll be great. It'll be glorious. Soon, Nui will not be the only absolute unit. You'll have to fight for dominance. There can only be one. Alright, that's the day. Zero dead, 32 minutes. Yeah, Noah is... I don't know why. Oh, Noah got a little bit of a temperance buff there. I don't know why, but you did. I must have sent you in for temperance work and not fucking realized, because I'm a dope. No, I did. You were the one that went into the thing there, the bloodbath, yeah. Over 100 prudence for Victor. There we go. Perfect. That's what I wanted. Grim, you have 98 temperance, which isn't 100, but it's enough. It's more than enough to get the job done. You're supposed to be murdering the shit out of things, not making friends. And then we are at 110 fucking max HP for Dia, so there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That is what I am fucking talking about right there. I think we're gonna fill record team first. I might be wrong about that, I don't know. Depends on who the fucking abnormality is that we wind up getting. Queen of Hatred we're not going to grab. Most certainly not. I kind of want to grab Meat Rudolph just because I know that Meat Rudolph is easy to deal with. Yeah, Meat Rudolph it is. I need to make sure that I'm playing these as safe as humanly possible, and going into the next day by re-extracting when I know that the first set has a perfectly safe abnormality to deal with. It's probably not the way to go about things, I would say. Probably better off just grabbing the safe one in the first round rather than risking it. In case I get something really just fucking shitty like Queen of Hatred, fucking Big Bird, and I don't know, fucking Mountain of Smiling Bodies. Because that'd just be awful. That'd be fucking terrible. But anywho, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be the end of everything right here. So the goal is to get everybody that's going to be in the architecture team geared up first so that we can just throw them right in at the start. And then we are going to work on everybody else, essentially. So Victor will not be a fucking fodder, even though I think I listed him as fodder, but he's really not. So I can actually gear him if I really want to, because he can be a good fucking melee carry. Even though X is our melee carry. I need to work on your justice still, my dude. So that'll probably be a thing that we'll do in one of the later days to come. Maybe I'll work on some of these other Randys that are in the departments, but I know for a fact we will wind up getting everybody in here ready to fucking go very early on. So that'll be neat. That'll be great. And yeah, Noah, you're ranged, so you're fine with your fucking HP being there. We'll just probably work on everything else about you. And Naray, I'm loving the attack speed right there. That is exactly what I want to see out of a fucking DPS, my dude. So, until the next time, guys, I need to get rid of these stupid fucking staffs that these people are using, because I didn't realize how awful the Amida weapon was. I wanted to see how it did, and then I was fucking severely disappointed by it. I mean, they're probably better off using Blue Scar, but... No, Blue Scar could probably work, actually. No, it's a short. It's not a very short, but it is still a short, so it puts them a little too close for comfort, but so is Moonlight. So, I don't know, maybe they are better off using Blue Scar rather than that shit. So, I will see you guys later. Ciao.